Hello, my name is Kara Hutchinson, and I am an educational consultant for CET in Cincinnati, or Cincinnati Educational Television. Thank you for joining us today for Digital Learning Day 2020. And today we are going to take a look at stop motion animation in the classroom. So for those of you that are old enough to remember Gumby, you may be familiar with the concept of stop motion animation. And your kids, if they are familiar with Dog Man by Dave Pilkey, they may have kind of a concept of stop motion animation in the sense of flip books, or the little flip pages that he has in his books. So today we are going to look at how we can use stop motion animation in the classroom. So if we look at the definition, or how Techopedia explains stop motion animation, it is essentially just a technique used to take static or non-movable objects and put them into motion by altering their movement in small little increments and capturing it as we go. So when you can use this, a lot of people ask this question because they think, well, I don't see why that would be fitting for my class, but really it can be used across all subject areas, and it's a great way really to test students for mastery on concepts that you've taught. Okay, so let's take a look at some ways that we can use stop motion animation to create. So you may have access to Chromebooks or tablets of some type. So we're going to take a look at some of the apps and extensions that you can use with those platforms, but we're also going to take a look with something as simple as Google Slides or a PowerPoint presentation that your students can use to create stop motion animation. So let's get started, and the first one we are going to look at is the stop motion animator for Chromebooks. And it's just essentially an add-on, or extension, sorry, for Chromebooks that uses the webcam on the Chromebook. And is the stop motion animator. And your students will download the extension here, and then we are just going to launch the app. It's going to access the camera on my computer, and then I've got these options here in order to create. Now, I will say that depending on where the webcam is, because on most Chromebooks it's up at the top, this can be difficult if they're trying to film objects, depending on where they need to set up their camera. But another cool add-on of a lesson might be that you have your students construct or create a stand for their Chromebooks for this purpose, to create kind of like a camera stand or a camera holder with their Chromebooks. And the way this one works is this capture button up here. You are just essentially capturing an image. So maybe I'll add those in there, and then I'll capture, and then I'm going to, I'm just going to stack him, and then I'm going to capture. And the nice thing about this app is it kind of will show you, it will, not kind of, it will show you the previous capture, capture. Okay, so then when you click play, it'll put all those images together. And then you can control the speed of how quickly those images move along the bottom. So if I want to slow it down, or if I want to go super, super fast, I can speed it up. You can also do it for something as simple as, I'm going to clear that. So if I take this little card And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to just capture, 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 capture. Okay, and then when I play it back, because I've got it all the way slow, it's running slow. But if I want to speed it up, one moment. So they have control over that. And the thing I love the most about using stop motion animation in the classroom is just the fact that students can put their own creative touches on it. And sometimes you will be so blown away by some of the things that they come up on their own, or the stories that they build, or I just encourage everyone to give it a try at least once, because I am always fascinated with the things that the kids come up with. And just like anything else, you will have some that get really into it and they just think it's the coolest thing, and they will make elaborate videos and storylines and come up with really great films. And you'll have other kids that they do it the one time because you required them to do it and may never visit it again unless they have to. So it's just like with anything, so you'll have some kids that really get into it. The other thing that is a great add-on to this, and depending on what age group of kids you're working with, I would encourage you, maybe not the first time you use it, like they probably just need some practice on how it works, and I would just do something as simple as giving them some manipulatives or some Legos or something, and just let them see how that works, of, snapping a photo, and then when you sequence them together, see how that process works. But if it's something that you really want to use to test for mastery, I would encourage you to have your students develop a storyboard and go through that whole process of, what do you want your outcome to be? What do you want that to look like? And really have them go through that design process of what they are wanting to do, okay? And before they ever set foot of actually creating the content, I'd have them work through that. So something to keep in mind if you're going to use it for testing the skills. But I do recommend, if you've never done it before and your students have not done it before, let them have the chance to just play with it and create something that's messy, and go from there. Okay, the other one I would like to quickly look at is those of you that have tablets. I'm going to encourage you to use the stop motion animation app for the iPad that is free. Okay. Come on. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but that stop motion animation app with the little movie camera, it's a free app for your iPad. There is one for Android. I think it's called PicPack, that is also free. And their little intro video is kind of cute because they're obviously using clay in this photo, but it gives the kids kind of an idea of things that they can create. And the other thing I like about this app is when you go into it, this big fish is a sample video that students can use to kind of like get inspiration or get inspired on how it actually works. So let's take a look at that really quickly. Okay, so I think that is a really great little video to show them at the beginning because they can get an idea of what exactly they can do with this app. And they can see that you can do it with something as simple as paper, or you can use manipulatives, it's kind of opens their mind. And the one thing I also love about stop motion animation is you will have some kids that use all their resources that they have available to create something. You will have some kids that use themselves to create a video, and they get really clever. So if you're having them work in groups, which I highly suggest, sometimes they will take pictures of each other and then create videos. The one thing I also like about using stop motion animation on a tablet is that freedom to take pictures at different angles for them to be able to capture exactly what they'd like, as opposed to having to use a device. So I'm going to just create a real quick little story. So they would just snap a photo. Okay, and I don't know if you can notice, but down at the bottom, so it's captured the first photo and then it's going to take the second photo. So I'm going to pull in that one. Okay, and then I'm going to move it just a little bit closer. I'm going to move that one away. And you'll have some kids too that get really meticulous about, setting up the same camera shop. Okay, then if I hit play, it'll loop what I've created. And the nice thing about this, also under the gears, you've got these little slow down options, so you can slow down and crop your images, or you can speed them up. So, because sometimes the kids would get really frustrated because it would go too fast that you couldn't see their concept. And so they would always need that tip to learn how to slow it down. And I will say that sometimes too, depending on the day, this app, and it could just be the tablets, because the tablets we were using, but sometimes the timepiece we would have to go through and set on each individual image, as opposed to it letting us set it for the entire film. So something to keep in mind as you're using it. All right, now let's take a look. So that one is just called Stop Motion, and it is for Apple and it is free. They do have a Stop Motion Pro that is not free, and there are other options. You can make longer videos, and you have more kind of editing options. Okay, before I show you the next option, I'm going to pause just a second so that you can write this down. This is the code for this session for you to get your certificate at the end. It is capital S, capital M, then 123. And be sure that you capitalize that S and that M, because it is case sensitive. But go ahead and jot that down really quickly. And after the session, you can access the form where you will put this code in, and you will receive your certificate for completion for watching our presentation. Okay, capital S, capital M, 1, 2, 3. Pretty easy. Okay, the other option for creating stop motion animation is actually as simple as using Google Slides. So I'm going to just hop into my drive. And those of you that are familiar with Jake Miller, he has a great little tutorial and some pre-loaded backgrounds and different things featuring stop motion animation with Google Slides. So you can always Google that. He's got some great resources. So essentially what your kiddos would do is on their slide, they can create a background. So they can go out to the web and search some sort of background. Okay, and then, I know I distorted that a little bit, but it's okay. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this slide multiple times because I want this background to stay my background. Now, would your kids have to do this? No, not at all. Like, they can have a changing story. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some characters into my ocean. So say I'm going to do a sea turtle. Okay, maybe I should do a dolphin. We can make him jump. And this might be a good lesson, too, for your kids to learn about transparent images, where they want an image that has no background to it. So I'm just going to, just for showing sake, I'm just going to show you quickly how this works. So I'm just going to copy this image and go to the next slide, and I'm going to paste the image because it's going to put it just right there. And then I'm not going to use my mouse because a lot of times it's hard to control that movement of where they're going. So I'm just going to use the arrow keys to move him over, and then I'm going to copy, go to the next slide and paste, and I'm going to move him over. Then I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to move him over. And then I'm going to copy, and I'm going to come to the next slide and paste, and I'm going to move him over. And I'm going to duplicate the slide, and then I'm going to move him over. And then I'm going to duplicate the slide, and then I'm going to move him over. And then I'm going to duplicate the slide, and then I'm going to move him over, and then I'm going to duplicate the slide, shift him over, duplicate the slide, shift him over. Okay, and you get the idea. I'm doing something really simple, and you can have your kids bring in speech bubbles and all sorts of things, and they can go crazy. So if we click up here, once I hit present, if I just start clicking, whoop, you can't see him. Let me go back. So if I click, you can see he's moving across the screen. So it's more of like a simplistic, not as smooth, I guess, in your transitions and stuff, but they get the idea of the concept where this is essentially more like the little flip books where you would make animation happen, but you can tell whole stories using this where you have some characters come in, some characters go out, and actually I have a quick example if I can pull it up really quickly. So we'll see if this works. And this was Jake Miller's, this was his template, and my colleague created the storyline. So he's running, and the tater toddy little are coming in from the other side, and they meet in the center of the stage to fall in love. So quick and easy ways to use your stop motion animation in the classroom. And I really hope that you would consider giving it a go, because there are multiple different options of ways to try this. And I just think it's so great for the kids to kind of get a chance to show you their creative thoughts and their process. And if you add in that storyboard piece, it's just another great learning process. And I mean, think about it. They can use it for any subject: science, history, math, reading, government, whatever the case might be. They could use it for anything. So I want to say thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. And if you have any questions, please join me in the live doc. I will be there to answer any questions that you might have. And if it's after the 27th, feel free to email me. I can answer any questions that you might have. Thank you, and have a great day.